What's up everybody? We are back for another episode of how to make your own Zelda game. In today's video, we go through how to create your own model that looks exactly like a model straight out of Wind Waker. We're going to be learning how to rig that model and texture that model and also get him into Unity and functioning correctly. So once again, if you haven't seen the first video, this series is not like one of those tutorials where you're going to be following this verbatim. It's more like being able to understand the lingo, be familiarized with the different programs that you would use to create certain textures and models. And without further ado, I think we should get right into making our own Zelda game. Let's go. So first things first, you want to go into your browser, search up Blender, and click on the first link from blender.org, and then download the latest version of Blender, the long-term support version of Blender right here. Go through the download process, very simple. If you need any other information, go look up a how to install Blender tutorial on YouTube. Now, wherever Blender is, launch that bad boy, and you're gonna open up to this beautiful scene. So, we're going to be modeling our main character of the game. I'm making a Zelda parody. I'm actually going to launch this game that we're making together, and I'm going to be making my own version of Link. I'll go into detail on what exactly my Zelda parody is going to be about, but I'm going to teach you how to navigate Blender a little bit. First off, if you click the scroll wheel, you could look around. If you click shift and then click the scroll wheel, you could pan the camera. Scroll in, you could obviously scroll in and out, and that's pretty much all you need to navigate Blender, and this will let you get anywhere in the scene. So now that we know how to navigate Blender a little bit, I'm going to show you guys a cheat code on how to 3D model ultra easily. Okay, what you want to do, since we're making a Zelda parody, is go to this website. All I look up is Zelda Wind Waker models, and you could get to this, the models resource website. And on this website, you literally have every single model from the Zelda Wind Waker game. You could do this for any Zelda game. You could do this for Twilight Princess. You could do this for Ocarina of Time. And it'll give you literally every model from that game. And not only that, you could download these models and import them into Blender. And I'm going to show you how to do that right now. So we're going to download Link. So click on Link, download zip archive, and then it gives you the zip folder. You want to find that zip folder, okay, and then you're going to open it. Depending on if you have WinRAR, you're not going to be able to unzip this the same way. So if you don't have WinRAR, you could just have to right click and click extract in this menu and then extract it to your desktop. Okay, but assuming that you have WinRAR, you're going to click on this icon. This window is going to pop up, and then you're going to have a folder. This folder, click on it, click extract to, and then I always put it on the desktop. You can put it wherever you want. Click on the desktop, add a new folder, and it's going to create a folder with the name of whatever you're downloading. Then click OK, and now we have an extracted folder on our desktop. It's right here. There's a bug where there's Unity loading screens right here, but that's besides the point. So we're gonna open this file that we just extracted to our desktop, and then go into this folder, and now we're looking for these two files. These are the actual files for the models. We have to figure out what type of file it is so we can import it. So go to this one with the square icon. Okay, there might be a different icon. We're just looking for the 3D model file. Right click it, go to properties, and then if you don't see it right here, we could already see the type of file it is. It's a 3D object, OBJ. You could go to details, and it'll be in the name. It'll say dot whatever type of file it is. So this is an OBJ file. So now all we have to do is go back to Blender, click File, Import. Scroll down enough, you can see .obj, which was the type of file that we downloaded. If you click on that, go to your desktop, then go to the Zelda Wind Waker file that we just downloaded. Go into the link folder, and now we're going to open the link.obj file. And instantly we're going to get Link into the game. This is a crazy learning resource. We can learn exactly how Nintendo modeled Link. Look at that. So this is ripped directly from the game, so we get to see exactly how Nintendo modeled their Link model. So we cannot see any colors right now. That's because we're in like the solid view. But if you go up to the right, you can have a material view. If you click this icon right here. Boom, now we have a textured Link. That is insane. A lot of times these models actually come with a rig, which is insane. But this one does not, which is okay. I'm going to show you guys how to rig characters. So the reason that we downloaded this is not to just steal the 3D model, okay? We just downloaded it to see how Nintendo did certain things. So as you can see right here, for the eye, they have a separate plane that's just sitting on the face. It's pretty interesting. And it looks like they have a separate plane for the pupil itself. It's pretty interesting. So now that allows them to like edit the, like move the eye around and switch the texture for the eye to make it like blink or anything like that. It's pretty interesting. We're gonna do all the same things there. They also have a plane for the mouth too, as you can see. So we're gonna try to copy all of that, and we're gonna try to copy the proportions of this Link. Now, here's what I'm going to say. You could theoretically, okay, take this model, right? And you could just modify this model to make your own. I'm going to show you how to do that, but legally, all right, if you plan on dropping this game, it's not very safe, okay, because you could probably get sued somehow. Don't take this as legal advice. I don't know how they would ever find out if you just modified a model as opposed to just modeling it yourself. We're going to be modeling it ourselves using this as reference in this video because I don't want to get sued. But if you were a developer, all right, and you happen to just use their model and just adjust it, hey, you know, that might work out, all right? But I think we should get started on our own 3D model. It's very nice to see what they do in the Wind Waker. Very, very neat polygon count, you know. If you don't know how I'm seeing this view, if you click on Link and click tab, you can go into the edit view where you can see all the vertices. That's what these little points are. And now let's go ahead and make our own character. Blender might seem intimidating, but it's actually pretty easy. So we're going to show you how to model in Blender. If you look at your hierarchy, you can see it's very unorganized. There's tons of crap everywhere. For some reason, this model is just split into like 100 different random things. So what we're gonna do is just clean it up real quick. In the top right, you can see like a collection. This is just like a folder. If you click that, you're gonna add it into the scene. Then you want to click the top object and then shift select the bottom one and just drag it into that collection. Then you could drop it. You could close the collection so it's not all in your face. Another thing that you usually want to do is delete the camera and the light from the scene, because the default Blender camera and light, whenever you import it into Unity, will cause issues. So if you don't remember, that's fine. You could just do it in the future. But okay, let's get started modeling our character. So using this Link as reference, we're going to start with the head. So what I'm going to do is hide this Link, click add up in the top left, go to mesh and go to cube. This is going to be the head. Don't worry, it's going to be round. So if you zoom in, you can see that the default Blender scale is actually much smaller than what we have here for Link. So we're gonna have to scale this up. We'll probably shrink everything later. Click on the cube, right? And then if you click S, you could actually scale the cube, and then click again to confirm the scale. If you don't want to remember the keyboard shortcuts, on the left panel here, you have all the same movement options that you did in Unity. So, but I use the keyboard shortcuts. So S scales the object. So I'm going to scale it to relatively a big size. Then I'm going to click G, which allows me to move the object. If you're wondering how I'm in this view, I'm clicking -Y on this little gizmo on the top right side, and this locks me into one of the axes. So now I'm going to move pretty much. I'm practically clicking this move tool, but I'm going to move it all the way up here. Click S, scale it a little bit more, and now we have a head. But Link's head's not a cube, okay? So let's make this cube not a cube. And the way that you should make spheres in Blender is by doing this method right here. Usually this is way easier than using the default sphere in Blender. But if you wanted to use the default sphere, you go to add mesh and then click sphere somewhere on here, UV sphere. But we're not going to do that because that sphere is not good, and I'm not going to explain why. This is what we're going to do. So click on the object, right? Go over to the right side where you see this little wrench icon that's going to be for modifiers. Click that. Click add modifier, and we're going to go down to subdivision surface modifier, if I can find it. Right here, subdivision surface modifier. Click on that, and that is going to change our cube into a sphere. Look how nicely that fits in there, right? If I turned off Link, you could see the sphere, but it looks kind of low poly. So let's increase the polygon count by clicking this levels viewport button. Now, personally, like, you could bump this up to 4 or 5, right, and make it ultra smooth. But personally, I do not mind seeing a little bit of polygons on my models, okay? And whenever we're done with the model, we're going to select this, right click, and go shade smooth. And as you can see, outside of the edges, you can't see any flat faces. So to me, this is perfectly acceptable. Maybe I'll go up one more in the viewport, right? Because why not? We have a modern game engine. But yeah, this is going to be our head. So let's toggle on Link again for a second. Let's see what we actually have to model here. It looks like we're gonna have to model the head, which the head looks like a perfect sphere. It looks like there's nothing else but a sphere here. It looks a little bit deformed. It looks like they gave him a chin a little bit. I guess we'll do that. Let's just give Link his chin very quickly. So turn the sphere on, right? Click on the sphere, and now we need to go into edit mode so we can actually edit the vertices. So you could either go up to this toggle right here and go down to edit mode and click that, or you could do what I'm going to do and click tab. If you click tab, it toggles between edit mode and object mode. So now that we have this view, I'm going to click tab, go into edit mode, and click on this little gizmo on the top right, and then we're going to go into the side view. I'm just going to try to make this sphere match Link's head a little bit more. So drag this. So I'm going to drag select this and click G to start moving it. But there's an issue. You could probably see that if I turn, I'm only pulling one of the corners of this cube. Okay, that's a no bueno. So we're going to control Z that. And if we want to be able to select multiple vertices from any angle, you have to click this little toggle X-ray icon in the top right, and then that'll let you grab vertices even though they're in front of each other. Okay, now, and to undo, I'm using Control Z if you don't know. But let's go ahead and work on this. So what I'm going to do is add some loop cuts, because as you can see, whenever I move this vertex, it kind of modifies the entire sphere, and I don't really want that. So in the bottom left, you have a loop cut tool, and this loop cut tool is going to allow you to divvy up your sphere into more sections. So I'm going to put one there, and then put one there, and put one there, put one there. All right, I've added a few loop cuts. And now he looks more like Minecraft Steve, but we will solve that later. So what you're going to do is grab the chin from the side, pull it down, try to match that a little bit, put that there. Now I'm just trying to match the head shape a little bit more. I'm just going to guess right here, probably right there is fine. Seems like his head's pretty small over here. I'm going to guess that his head comes out, because that's how heads work. Alright, from the side it looks pretty good, but from the front he looks like, I am not going to try to make an analogy. So if you go into the front view, let's edit the front view a little bit. Let's just grab one side, pull it in, put it right there. Grab these few top ones, pull them out a bit. Grab these, pull them in. Instead of having to model the entire other side, what we could do is add a loop cut in the middle. I'm going to drag it over his nose and chin right there. And then we could drag select all of these points, click delete vertices. Then you could go back over to the modifiers wrench on the right side, click add modifier, and click mirror. And then, if we're lucky, it's going to be on the axes that we're working on. But let's say it's on this axis right here, and it's, I don't know, let's say you don't see anything and it's like not popping up. You might have to mess with the axes over here. We're on the x-axis, so this is how this works. But it looks like we got like a pretty good shape for Link's head. I'm gonna tweak it a bit. Tweak it as much as you want. I'm not too worried about getting his head perfect, because we're gonna have to do this with a lot of different things. But I would say that that's pretty close. Okay, so we got the head down. I'm gonna scale it down a bit. All right, it's okay if it's poking through a little bit. It's probably a good thing. That means we're matching it more closely. But I'm gonna hide the cube, and now we're gonna make the nose. Go to object, or sorry, go to add. We're gonna add another cube. I pretty much always use cubes for literally everything when modeling. Then you can see your cube is down here. Let's go to the X view, scroll out, click the move tool, and move it up to his nose. Now we're going to try to match his nose. Put this right there, put this right there, this right there, right there. Now that we have the base of the nose, we're going to extrude this face out so we can have another section to work with. So if you go to the side view and you select these two vertices and click E, you're able to extrude it. Now I'm going to move this point down, move this point up, And there we go. Now we got a nice nose from the side. Let's go to the front. Click tab, go back into edit mode. I'm gonna drag this vertex right there. We're actually gonna do that trick we did earlier where we did the mirror modifier. So add another loop cut in the middle. Go back to the selection tool up in the top left. Delete these vertices. Add modifier, mirror modifier, and then just try to match the shape of the nose as much as possible. No, I think that's pretty close. I'm just winging it. I don't really want it to be exactly alike, so I'm just gonna right click and shade smooth, and that's going to be my nose. So if we add both of these together and then turn off the collection, you can see that we got a nice little nose there and a nice shaped head. It looks a little bit strange, but we're gonna be adding hair. After we add hair and like a hat, it's gonna look normal. See actually what Link's head looks like. I think Link's head is more round actually, so I think what we're gonna do is try to round this a little bit more because we do not want Link to look like a Minecraft character. So they actually have a tool within Blender called like the rounding tool. If you click tab and click A, select everything and go to the left side, you can smooth everything. Click on that and click on this little toggle right there. You can make it way more smooth. So I'm gonna just bring it down a bit. I'm gonna bring it down a lot actually. Now if I go to the front view, click G, put them together. I think that's actually too smooth, so I'm gonna go back and unsmooth it a bit. Click G, bring them together. And then on the right side, allow clipping so these parts could actually touch each other. And then change the merge distance to like 0.1. Now these will merge together. Look at that. I think that looks slightly better. It looks a little bit too egg shaped, so I'm gonna click tab, click S, and then I'm gonna click X, which allows me to scale on the specific axes. So I'm gonna scale on the X axis, so I'm gonna click X. Click S, X, and then you can scale it to make it more sphere shaped. There we go. Now let's bring Link back in. You got to scale it back up so it's a similar size. Now I am one to modify forever, so let's try and not do that in a tutorial. You can make this as accurate as you want, but that is plenty for me. So let's turn on the nose. We got the nose, we got the head. Now let's get the ears. What we could do is click the nose. They're pretty similar shapes, so I'm going to click the nose, click Shift D, and that's going to duplicate the nose. And then I'm going to look at it from the top and then rotate it to be where the ears would be. Go to X axis, put it where the ear would be. Go to the Y axis and then drag it in a little bit. I'm going to turn on the Link model and see where his ear is. So let's actually drag this down to right there. Then click tab to go into edit mode. I'm going to delete all these vertices right here and then go into X because it looks like it's slightly off. Oops, we have to actually remove the mirror modifier. That's going to cause us issues. Now move this to the base of the ear. I'm going to scale it up a bit. Looks like this is touching exactly where we want. So now we're going to click E to extrude this out, and we're going to put that right there. It's going to be the first extrusion. We're going to make a few extrusions here. Put that right there. Select all these 4 faces and then click extrude again. Put that right there, right there. And then I'm going to do one more extrusion, these 4 faces, because if you look from this perspective, it's like that. Those 4 faces and then extrude once again. And then let's see what it looks like on a different view. Let's actually turn off collection. I think that looks pretty good for an ear. So let's actually put it on his head right there. It could use a little bit of work, so it looks kind of strange at the very end. It looks like these vertices are doing something incorrect. So I'm going to try to fix that real quick. There we go. I think that's right. Do that. Now, from the top view, it looks like a fat ear, so we need to fix that. So I'm going to go actually to this tool right here, get onto the lasso tool, and I'm going to lasso these points, rotate it in a bit so it gets skinnier at the tip. Looks more right. Like select the whole thing in general and just scale it. See if I can make it look more natural. I think that's pretty good. I think that's an elf ear. If anything, I can make it even more pointy by moving that like that. That should work. Shade smooth. Perfect. Now, if you want it to be even smoother, you could add that subdivision surface modifier, and it gets even smoother. But I don't know. I like this look better. Something about me is weird that likes looks like this. So let's add another modifier, and to make sure that it's on both sides of the head, we're going to add a mirror modifier, and then using this little eyedropper tool, we could choose a thing that we're going to be mirroring. So click the cube, and then go and mirror. Oh, it's already on the right axis. Luckily we're on the right axis, but maybe you won't be, so you need to click one of these axes instead. So now we got Link. We got Link's head. we're only doing the modeling part right now, so we don't actually have to texture, but this is pretty much the entire modeling, okay? This is what modeling is. With everything I just showed you right now, you're going to be able to model everything on this link model, okay? All you have to do is just put the object in that spot and then move it accordingly. And a lot of people, they will do those Blender donut tutorials that take like 10 years to finish. All you need to know is exactly what I showed you right now, and you can model pretty much everything. So I'm gonna go ahead and start modeling the body, and I'm gonna do it quickly. I'm probably not gonna be talking about exactly what I'm doing. I'm just gonna be in the flow state and try to model the body as closely as possible. So add an object mesh cube, click -Y, move it up to about the chest point, scale it up. All right, now we're gonna look at link again, click on our cube, try to match the proportions a little bit. I'm gonna scale it on the x-axis to make it match right there. I think I'm gonna extrude it and make these match, and we're gonna add a mirror modifier so we don't have to model both sides. So I'm gonna actually move this in to the middle, so when we use the mirror modifier, it works. Now grab these two bottom ones, pull it down, that works, pull it down again with another extrude, move this out, and then that's the tunic. We need to make it look good on the right side as well, so we're gonna give him a little stomach here, like right there, right there. See, right there's fine, and right there. So now let's add the subdivision surface modifier. That should take care of a lot of the weird things that was going on. And it looks like, close link, there's still some faces right here, which is making it into like a bean. So we want to actually remove these faces. We need to delete these faces. So in the top left, you could actually go into face select mode, click on that, and click these 3 points, shift click these 3 faces right here, and then we're going to click delete and delete faces. Now it looks better, if you could notice the difference. Now let's actually mirror this onto the other side, and then allow clipping, change it to like 0.1, and then go to the vertice tool. Let's drag this in a bit. Now they're all merged together. Now let's see what link looks like again. We have a little bit of work to do on making the shape match. So let's drag this up there, drag this right there. It looks like that's matching pretty closely. Let's see, that should be good. That's good, good. Down here needs a lot of work. We add another loop cut, drag it all the way down, and it will make it flatter, which is what we want. So let's go into the front. Let's move this vertex in a bit, move these out. It looks pretty good. So there's an issue where I think that it's not round enough, and that's where we could use this smooth. Usually that works. You could extrude it, and it looks like we're gonna have to extrude these top ones out a little bit to match. But you know, we're not going for perfect, but that's a great rough shape. So let's close this out. I would say that looks pretty good to me. I think the shoulders actually need a lot of work. Let's see. So actually we're just gonna make the arms, and that'll fix this issue because it will add a lot of subdivision. It'll add a lot of loop cuts. So if we click these 2 points, I'm actually gonna do an inset, or click I, and then you can do this. This is where we're gonna add the arm. Right there would be good. Click extrude again, extrude this out, rotate flat, extrude, bring this back. And I think he needs bigger arms. This is Link. Link is jacked, as we all know. Let's move these back a bit. Looks like they have a similar thing going on here where it comes out from this spot, but I actually go as far as to move this back a lot. About right there. What does this look like? Yeah, acceptable, pretty acceptable. So now, yeah, let's make his arms bigger. Let's add a little loop cut in the middle of these two. Scale that up a bit. Looks like he has a nice chunky forearm. I'm gonna move this back, scale it up. Then do that. Okay, move this back, scale it up. There we go. All right, that looks pretty good. Yeah, let's now make the hands. We're not gonna model every individual finger. We're just gonna do like a mitten and then put a texture on it, because that's how they did it in Ocarina of Time. And this is a lot harder to work with, and for like little gains, like nobody actually cares if you can see every single finger. So we're just gonna do a little mitten. I've never wanted to model individual fingers, so I really don't know how. I could do it if I wanted to, but why would I want to do that? So we're gonna extrude these out, make it roughly the size of the hand. Now we're gonna add a thumb, which is gonna be another inset. So we're gonna select these 4, click, make an inset, click on Y, and let's move this to about where the thumb is, grab these 2, move it down, and now we can extrude this out. Extrude and extrude. I'm just gonna make the thumb point out this way. It'll make it easier to rig. But now let's make the hand less bulky. Let's make it match a real life hand more so. I think I'm actually gonna add a loop cut right here. That's a weird loop cut. Probably should add it. You know what? I'm gonna undo the thumb and add the loop cut first. It'll make it a lot easier. A few loop cuts. And then right here, this is where I'm gonna add the thumb. SZ this time, right? Move that down and then make it thumb. I'm actually gonna make the base of this bigger, so just select these 4 vertices, scale up, make it look more like a real thumb. Now back to the hand, let's grab these vertices down here, move them up. Just gonna try to roughly match the hand shape that they got going here. Dang, that's a long finger. Let's get rid of that long. Let's make it a reasonable length. Be careful as not to select the vertices behind it and move it back. Scale it down a bit. And then we close up with link. We got a pretty good hand. I think we could do a lot better. I think we gotta work on this. Let's look at it from the top and try to make it look more like a hand. Let's make this come out a bit more. Let's make this more like that. Just add some tweaks. I think it's, yeah, that's good for the thumb. Now, if you look at hands, tend to come to a point a little bit. So let's do that. Let's bring these together. Keep these kind of separated. I like that. All right, let's make this hand. Okay, so let's move this up. There we go. And that looks pretty good. I'm gonna lessen the curve a bit. Oh, that's looking cursed. Yeah, let's fix it from the bottom. That should be good. Yeah, it's just this right side looks kind of strange. Oh, it's probably because it's vertice. So I think that looks pretty good to me. I think pretty satisfied with this. That's gonna work as a hand in the game. Once we add a texture to it, it'll look even better, but yeah, that's fine. So now we got the body, add the neck and then legs, and then we should be done modeling our character. Heck yeah. Modeling is not hard. Everybody's trying to psyop you into thinking modeling is hard. Try to model something realistic on the other hand. Well, yeah, I mean, that's another, come on. All right. Let's do the neck real quick. I think I'm gonna make the neck as part of the body still, because that would be the easiest thing to do. Another inset, and this time the insets we need it to be connected over here. So I guess I've never really found an elegant way to do this, so I'm just gonna drag it like that, and then it'll merge it because we have the mirror modifier. And we're gonna rotate it so it's flat. All right, maybe we should edit the actual vertices because that's not working. Grab that one, move it down, move this one down. Now it's kind of flat. We can select the flat top, then click extrude. Make sure we remove these faces right here. That's why it's having those weird glitches. And now we got a neck. It's a very skinny neck, but we're going to resolve that by grabbing this, moving it out. All right, now, ooh, the back is looking kind of funky. Let's move these. Yeah, these just all need to come in. All right, and then grab the top view, extrude it up again. That is a very weird looking neck. Let's grab these 4, let's move them back. Maybe if we move them back, yeah, it looks a little bit better. And then let's move these back out a little bit. Move these out, and then it looks like we should not have the neck cave in on the back. It's kind of strange, so let's do that. And then let's even extrude it one more up. All right, so far so good. Now let's do the legs real quick, and then get on to something more interesting. So I think it'd be easier to just make the legs a separate object. So what we could do to make it slightly easier, select the arm here. Let's go all the way to the root because I'm lazy. Click Shift D. All right, because it'll also give us a mirror modifier, which I didn't really think about. Click right click and then click separate by selection. Then click tab to go back into object mode. Try to select the new arms. Bring them down. Click tab to go back into edit mode. Click A to select everything and then rotate it. These are going to be the legs. All right, see what Link's legs look like. Yeah, just like that. And then let's get rid of this hand. Grab these few, extrude them, go about right there, extrude again, then it go to the side, and then extrude this out, and then like that. Perfect. What the hell? What is going on here? It seems like the geometry got messed up, so I'm gonna undo a lot of this. Yeah, what's going on? Let me see what. For some reason this happened. What is that happening with the arm as well? It is not. I don't know why that happened, so I'm going to redo it. So let's delete that. Select the arm. Alright, everything's selected. Shift D, separate selection, object mode, select the arm, tab, A, rotate. These are full. Okay, we're missing part of the hand, but that's okay. I'm starting to realize why that happened. It was because I deleted the hand without thinking about it. So is this why? Delete vertices? It still looks good. Let's go ahead and remove this weird vertice right here. I don't know why that's there, but it should be good now. So let's move these back, move it right here. It looks like the mirror modifier is kind of broken, so I'm just gonna parent it to that object. Move this down, extrude. On the back side, we're gonna go another extrude for the feet. Move these, boom, perfect. Alrighty then, that's pretty much the model. The legs are coming out a little bit. Let's just fix that quickly. Give them some nice muscular legs. Oh, something weird is happening here. Click, if we're missing a face, click these 4 points and click F. That'll fill that up. Nice. Yeah, that's a model right there. All right, now this is where you go back and just like fix little issues. Like this needs to look more like a skirt or whatever you'd call it, a tunic. Of course it's called a tunic, bro. What am I, a fake Zelda fan? Move that up and in like that. Scale that out. More of a tunic now. So now that we got the 3D model, there's an important part that we need to do, which is texturing, and that's just making it look all colorful and such. So before we texture, I should go over what my game is going to be about. So I'm going to be making a parody Zelda game where, let's say, Hyrule is developed into the future and it's like modern day humanity right now. So Hyrule has iPhones and skyscrapers and cars, stuff like that, except it's all in like the context of the Zelda universe. So they probably use Zonite to make these things, and Link is in this modern Zelda universe. So that's pretty much the premise of the game that I'm going to be making. So instead of Link having the OG tunic, he's going to be wearing modern street clothes, and he's going to be a modern boy. Okay, so that's what we're going to be doing. And I'm going to be making my own design, because if I'm going to drop this game, it needs to be different enough where I do not get sued. Alright, so everything is going to be named, I don't know, like as if it was my own. So this is going to be, it's going to be like a parody game. I can't say that this is Link, but I can say that I might be able to get away with saying he's the hero of time. Okay, it's going to be like nods to Zelda games. So I was thinking that instead of a tunic, like Link gets a hoodie, just a green hoodie, okay? Because that's probably what a tunic would be in modern times. So let's make a hoodie for Link. A hoodie is actually going to be kind of difficult to do. I think we make the hood separate, and we'll have 2 ways of wearing the hood. You could either have it up or down, and we'll let the player choose maybe. That's in the future though. So first thing that I would do to make a hoodie, alright, is duplicate the head. So I'm gonna click Shift D in object mode and have a separate head, a hoodie, so I can distinguish him. And then I'll move this out, select this one. I'm gonna hide the actual head. I'm gonna name this head. The way that I'm naming is I'm double tapping the string, and then I'm just typing in the name and clicking enter. So now that the original head is hidden, and then have this and actually just drag it down, that already looks like a hoodie. There we go. So we're probably going to have to bring this out a bit because his head is going to be inside of it. And then the front, we're going to just demolish these 2. We destroy these 2 faces. That is a hoodie right there, ladies and gentlemen. Now this needs to merge up here though. It is merged. I don't know why it's making that weird effect, but if we extrude, let's actually destroy these 2 vertices as well. But if we select these faces on the inside and then click extrude and then click instantly and click scale, you can scale the inside and add some thickness to it. Perfect. Now this needs to taper down a little bit because that's what hoodies do. It taper down. Now let's see what it looks like with the head. Whoop, wrong. Looks a little bit like a Skyrim character. Hey, that looks pretty good. I like that. And now let's make the tip a little bit more pointy, a little bit more hood-like. I like that a lot. This looks good. That's good enough for me. So there's our hoodie. Now I really want to see what this would look like with some colors. So let's add some basic colors. So click on the hoodie, go down to this tab right here. You have to be in object mode. Click on the hoodie, go down to this tab right here where it says material, click new. For base color, we're gonna go green. The green color is too saturated, I think. We'll just go most saturated we can and then darken it. I think that's good. Now it looks like the head is clipping through the hoodie. We could either shrink the head or make the hoodie thicker, which I think the logical thing to do would be to make the hoodie a little bit thicker. Alright, that works. I don't know how this is gonna rig. This might be hard to rig, I just realized. Now let's add the same material to the shirt. Click on the shirt, go down to this little material window, and then try to find the material we just made, which was this one. There we go. Now the legs, what color is Link's legs? Okay, it's white. So even though they're already white, we should make a material for it because this is not actually white. It's just a default blender color. So let's click new. So let's just name this legs, and then it's already applied. Now let's give them some shoes. So if we select these few faces right there, click plus on the material slot, click new, you could go and change the color to like brown, let's say, which is just a dark orange if you didn't know that. And then we could assign it, and now we got booties. And let's give him actual hands in a similar way. Select these, assign light orange for his hands. And we'll use that same color for his head. It's just temporary materials, ladies and gentlemen. The hell? There we go. This is our character. But in the modern time, most likely he would be wearing blue jeans maybe if he didn't have shorts on, and he would not be wearing brown shoes. That is for sure. So we're gonna make his shoes black. Maybe they'll be Nikes or something, I don't know. But this is gonna be our modern Link. Now we need to still add the eyes and such, but this looks pretty good. With textures, this will look a lot more like this Link. So right now, let's organize the hierarchy. So right click in this window right here, click new collection, shift click all of them and drag it in. Now we're able to hide that pretty easily. So the only difference between our model and this model right here right now is that we don't have textures. Like look, we can see the arm has like a texture wrapping around it. The ear has like a little design on it. You can see he has a mouth and this little swirl. So I think that we should start doing some texturing. Let's go inspect the textures that Nintendo made for this Toon Link model right here. I want to see exactly what they actually did with the PNGs that they used to put on this model. So let's go to the UV editing section and let's open up one of the textures. If you look at the top, you should select the UV editing at the top, click on it, and you click on this little image icon right here to browse the images, and you should be able to select different textures. So it's going to split the window into two sections, and the right side is just going to be your normal modeling window, and the left side is going to be for the UV images. So if we actually drag this out a bit, you gotta drag out both of these sections so we're able to actually go into the rendered view, the material view on the right. If you go up to the top right, click the material view, let this pop up, then we're actually able to see the textures. So it looks like this is the textures for Link. So now that we got the body of Link, if you select Link and go to the edit mode and click A, you could actually see how Nintendo mapped the textures onto this one right here. It looks like what they did, they separated this image into separate sections and just applied the geometry. So this is like a really creative way to do textures. And look at that. This is the shoe. They just took the shoe from the side angle and mapped it on right here. That's pretty amazing. So we're gonna try to replicate this ourselves by making our own texture. That means that we're gonna have to have an ear somewhere and maybe some wrinkles. Since we're in 2024, we can make the texture size a lot larger than this, and I plan on actually having some wrinkles in here and some more detail than this. So let's try to make our own texture. So what you're gonna do is open up Photoshop. If you don't have Photoshop, you could use any image editing tool, but you should be pretty proficient in the image editing tool that you're gonna use. If not, just use Photoshop and try to follow along with me. I'll give you a rough Photoshop tutorial. So let's make a new file and let's see, we'll just go with 1920 by 1080 resolution for now. This is a modern game, so we don't really have to worry about texture sizes too much unless you're trying to release on mobile or something. Even so, let's choose a color for our hoodie. We're gonna go with just this green right here. So we're gonna have a base green color for our hoodie, and then I'm gonna actually take a screen grab of this texture right here. I'm just using Windows Shift S to screenshot this. There's probably better ways to do this, but we're just trying to use this as a reference for now. So I'm gonna paste that in here just for reference. So it looks like what Nintendo did is they just added a few sections that they could use around the model to add some cool shading effects. So I'm gonna do the same thing. I'm gonna add like a darker green right here. It's a darker green, and then an even darker green right here, and see if I could map this anywhere on the character. That should be a nice little detail spot. So that's enough for right now. So what I'm gonna do is click File, Export as PNG. I'm gonna save this somewhere where I can find it, so I'm just gonna make a new folder on my desktop called Link Textures and save it to this folder. So let's go back into Blender, let's close out of this guy and open up our model. Let's make sure these ears are not visible right now, and let's open up our texture. So we actually have to import the image. There's a few different ways of doing that. I just like to drag it in. So find the image on your desktop. I have it on desktop in that Link Textures folder. Find the image. Mine is untitled. I'll just go ahead and title it right now. Link body. How about that? And then let's drag it in. So now this is in my Blender scene, so we're able to access it. So let's go back to the material. So now that we got the image in the scene, we should create a material. So let's click on Link let's just create a new material called body. Now that we have a new material, let's go to the base color, click on this nipple and go all the way down to image texture. Click on image texture and let's find our texture. We made it, it's called link body right here. So now we got our texture in the game. So I'm gonna remove these two materials right here, and now we have our texture mapped onto our link. As you can see, it's just mapped onto this mesh weird because we haven't actually unwrapped the mesh yet. So what we're gonna do is take sections of this model and try to creatively use what we just made to add some detail. So looks like the old link model just has a little dark line around each edge. That should be easy enough to achieve. So we're gonna try to do that first off. So we're gonna take this section right here, grab this section right here. Let's double check that we're actually able to grab through by we should toggle this on up here, the toggle X-ray, so we could grab vertices that are behind the mesh. Okay, so grab all of these vertices, click U, and then click project from view, and this is gonna unwrap this part of the model as if you were looking at it. So this is, you can kind of see what I'm talking about if you look over here. So you can see what it looks like on the UV editing window. This is like the unwrapped model, but we're still on the old image. So what you want to do is select this image up here, this little image icon, and go down to our texture. Now you can see what it looks like. So now let's make this look somewhat natural. You can scale this just like normal, and you can scale it on each axis. Like if I clicked X right now, I could stretch it on the X axis. Y, I could do it on the Y axis. So what we're gonna do is try to make it look as natural as possible, just like they did on their model. As you can see, there's some weird glitching going on with the unwrap. It's not really following the rules that we have set right here, or it's being too strict. That's probably the best way to put it. So this would be a great time to apply this modifier that we have, the subdivision surface. What I like to do before I start applying modifiers is duplicate the model, because whenever you apply modifiers, there's no way to go back. So I will create this collection up here is our link model, and I'm gonna name this pre-applied modifiers. Then I'm gonna duplicate this collection by right-clicking, duplicate collection, and then I'm gonna hide the old one and then rename this one to post-applied modifiers. Modifier link, how about that? There we go. So post-applied modifier link. Now we're gonna work on this guy, and we have a backup right here just in case we mess up. So now let's apply the subdivision surface modifier, and now you can see that everything, we have a lot more faces to work with, and it's a lot more accurate. So now let's do what we did before. Select this area right here, click U, and then project from view. Now we have these vertices over here in the UV editor, and we could actually modify these to have like a color at the base, which is what we're going to do. Okay, so it looks like the front and back vertices are not actually lined up perfectly, which is not very usual. Like usually these vertices from in the front or back are going to be like perfectly behind each other, so we don't have to do what we're about to do. But so what we could do is grab this and unwrap from this side. That should be way easier to work with. So let's rotate it like that. There we go. That's exactly what I was going for. So let's actually make it a little bit bigger, and we could even bring some of that black in there. I don't really like that black, so what we're going to do is do a little trick where we scale on the y-axis, and then we can make this green a much bigger part of this mesh. So let's go. Yeah, if we go really skinny, then we can make this entire section green. Perfect. Now it looks like we're gonna need like a skin texture, so I'm gonna actually add that to the textures. So if we go back to Photoshop, let's choose a color for our skin. I'm gonna choose just like a skin tone. That should work. Get a little bit darker. Now I'm gonna add a new layer, and I'm gonna add the skin tone over here. Just gonna make a little cube. Click G to have a fill bucket, and then place that. So that's gonna be our default skin tone. File, export, link body. I'm just going to export it into the same image, then go back into Blender, go up to the image on the top right, and then click reload, and it's going to reload that texture. So let's make these hands a skin tone. So I'm actually going to grab all of this up here, click U, click project from view, and I'm just going to click A over in this section over here, and then scale it down so it's just all green, and just put this somewhere, anywhere. Now let's select the hand. Looks like this is not going to map right. We'll see what it looks like. So we're going to just grab till right here, click U, project from view, and then just drag this over the skin tone area and just shrink it. There we go. Now we have a skin tone. Perfect. So let's straighten these lines out. For some reason these got messed up, but I'm just going to click S and X and just try to make it much more straight. Yeah, it's very, very obvious that it's not straight right now for some reason. I don't know what happened, but there we go. Do my best to make it straight. All right, so now let's make this little wrist area the same, have the little lining just like down here. So let's go from the side view, select these two vertices, right? Click U, project from view, and now we can rotate it and have the same sort of section right here. So I'm gonna scale it down and then do exactly that. So look at that. We got pretty much exactly how they did it in the old file. They have these lines separating these sections. Perfect. I think what would be cool is if we had some stitching somewhere, like hoodies do. Like, let's go look at a reference of a hoodie, because I think that this isn't detailed enough. I think if we had some stitching, that would look great. So if we could add these little stitchings in these areas, I think it would make the hoodie look a lot better. Even have this little like pocket right here. So let's add that to the texture and see if we could get away with some sort of illusion. So I'm actually gonna drag in a hoodie reference so we can remember what we're gonna add. So let's drag this right here, Control T, and then hold Alt and grab one of the corners to scale it evenly. I lost a little bit of footage because my Blender and Photoshop crashed, but that is okay because all I did was add these two little wrinkles, okay? The way that I did that was I just got a black soft brush, did a little swipe like that. I pulled it out with the smudge tool, and then I got a soft eraser and erased the top of it. And that is how I got these two wrinkles right here. So erase all of that, and I'm going to show you what I'm working with now. So I added a few wrinkles to the hoodie right there, and now let's make the hat a part of the same texture. So I'm going to go down, I'm going to select the hat and go down in the materials panel to the material that we created, body. Now I'm going to click on tab to go into edit mode, click A, and then I'm going to look at it from the back view and click U, project from view. And I'm just going to put this down here. Maybe add a little bit of wrinkles on the back side. There's no way that could hurt. Perfect. Don't want to overuse these wrinkles. Maybe I'll get rid of these actually down here. But yeah, there we go. So let's continue making the hoodie look even more realistic. So I'm thinking having these little seams right there would be pretty useful in making the hoodie feel more realistic. So we're gonna maybe just use these seams right here. Let's see how that would look. So let's go to these shoulder right here. Let's select these faces with view, project from view, rotate it. Let's do that. Does that look good? Yeah, I think that maybe we should make a different type of stitching. Let's do this type of stitching. This could look pretty cool. So let's go to a hard brush and then do a little bit of this where it's just X's. I'm gonna add another layer and go down here and make a straight line to ensure that I am going in a straight line by holding shift and clicking in two spots. And I'm gonna make another layer and do X's on top of it. Now this should create a cool stitching effect that I could put around the model. Copy that, paste it again, let's merge all these together, and now I wonder if it would look good if I did one of these. Now we got some stitching. Perfect. Now let's see what this looks like in game. I'm actually gonna move this up a bit so it's easier to work with. Maybe even move it up here. I think this is a better spot for the stitching. Let's see what this looks like. So file, export as PNG, link body. Let's go back into Blender, and where we put these little stitching, actually after we reload the image, where we put these stitchings, let's replace it with our new and improved stitching. Seems to not be popping up for some reason. I do not know why. Oh, there we go. So there's the stitching. Not too sure how I feel about it. I think that if it was lighter, then it would look better. So I'm gonna actually lower the fill about that much. File, export once again. I'm gonna go back to Blender and then reload the image. Yeah, I think that looks pretty good. Let's go back to the hoodie. Let's see if we could add anything else. I think definitely the hood could use some lining around it. So I'm gonna actually add that. Selecting all these faces, clicking U, project from view, and adding a little bit of lining here. I'm gonna try to straighten this line out a bit. Select all these, S, scale, Y, straighten that out, right? The top of this looks kind of strange for some reason. So I'm gonna select all these, click U, project from view, and that a bit. Let's bring back the little wrinkle details. This is pretty much the process of unwrapping and such. There we go. So it looks, I feel like this needs to be subdivided again. There we go, a little better. Also want this hat to be bigger. Oh yeah, that's even better. Look at that. Yeah, the bigger the better. what they said. Anyway, that's pretty good. Nice little hoodie. I'm just realizing now that Link is bald. Sorry, not Link. My version of Link does not have any hair, so I think we should make some hair. It's pretty simple. A cube, just like we do before with everything, subdivision surface. Bring this up to the forehead, put that there, and then I'm going to drew this out, shorten it, drew this out, shorten it. So now that looks like a nice wispy strand of hair. And go to the side and rotate it down. I think this should be scaled down as well. And then gonna rotate it, G, scale, put this in there. There we go. There's some hair. Now let's just shift, duplicate this a few times. There we go. We got some nice and easy hair. We're gonna shade smooth all of these. Use one back here. All right, I'm gonna join these and then give them a material. It's gonna be the same material as we've been using for the body. And then we're gonna add a little hair texture. So let's get rid of this jacket, and this area is going to be for the hair. Create a new layer. I'm going to make his hair brown just because I'm trying to distinguish my game a little bit more from Zelda, I guess. I'm just gonna add some brown here. It's like a normal brown color. And all these colors can be changed pretty easily later, so I'm just choosing some random colors. So save that, or hit this. Alright, file, export as PNG, link body, go to Blender, image, reload. Now, object from view, scale down, and throw over the brown. So our Link's hair is going to be brown. If you want to move these after joining them, you could click tab, and then you could select the individual objects by clicking L, and then Shift D is to duplicate. Honestly, that's pretty good in my opinion. I don't know how much more we need to do for right now. We could always come back and change the model later, which we will. I think we definitely do need some eyes and stuff, so we're gonna do that quick, and then that's gonna be done for the model. Then we're gonna get on to rigging. So let's get the eyes. So we're definitely gonna need a new file for the eyes. So file, new, and we're gonna do like a square. So let's go 256 by 256. Let's create that. And I am not an eye artist, so I'm actually just gonna go grab the eye that they use here. Like, there's no way I'm gonna be able to do this myself, so I'm just gonna copy that. All right, and use that as a heavy reference. So for my eye, I guess I'm just gonna go with black for now. Choose a black color just to get the shape. I think I'm gonna go, let's go see what eyes we got. Let's see what kind, I don't want to just steal from them, so I'm just gonna see what cartoon eyes appeal to me. Any shapes that I like, I'm just gonna take it. I don't like that shape, but that's, all these are very similar to this one, so I'm just gonna try to copy the shape and then add a layer. And then if you hold Alt and go in between the layers, you could actually make this what's called an adjustment layer, and that means wherever you draw is only going to show up on the layer below it, which is very overpowered. So I'm going to make the background a different color just so we could actually see what we drew. And now let's work on our drawing. So let's make the eyes more unique to our game. I'm gonna make this eye right here. All right, I'm trying to think of how I can make the eyes different, so I guess I'll just do a few different eye shapes. Let's try another one. Let's just go with the gray color, put this above all of the other ones. So we'll just go a circle. Let's see if circles work. Do a nice little circle there, hide that, add an adjustment layer over it, some white, just make this a perfect circle. All right, now hide the background. Make sure you hide both these background layers before you export, so there's some transparency. You'll see why later, but export. But let's just say basic. I wonder what just a default circle is gonna look like on the model. So let's go back into Blender. Now let's create the eye. All we're gonna do is select this face, Shift D, and then select the new face, and then click separate by selection. There's an issue here where these are merging because of the mirror modifier, so we're just gonna do that again. I'm just gonna turn off this clipping for now. Shift D, move them apart, separate by selection. Now you got two circles. We're gonna actually get rid of this. We're gonna go back into object mode, click on those objects, get rid of the subdivision surface modifier, keep the mirror modifier, and then we're gonna go down, scale these a bit just so they're over the eyes. They could be clipping a little bit. And now we're gonna add a new material called eyes. So call this eyes, whoops, eyes, and then click A, and then perfect. Now we can't have it clipping like that, so I'm just gonna click this, move it out a bit more, perfect. Now these are going to be the planes that the eye sit on, similar to how they did it before. Similar to how they did it here, where they just added different planes for like the eyes and stuff. That's exactly what we're doing right now. So these are going to be the eyes. So I'm going to go to base color, click that nipple, go to image texture, click this little thing right here, and we're gonna go to our eye. Oh, we did not actually drag it in yet, so make sure you're in object mode, and you're gonna go down to the file select, go to your desktop if that's where you saved the eye image, and then drop in your basic eye. So now it's in the scene. So now we'll be able to find it in here. There we go. So now we're gonna click tab, click U, just do smart UV project, and then go to your basic eye PNG. And perfect, there it is. So we want it to be transparent though. We want the background to be transparent. So what you want to do is go into the shading editor at the top. Make sure you click this, and then all you have to do is plug in this little alpha. Go into the shading tab, and all you gotta do is plug this alpha into the alpha channel. After you plug that into the alpha channel, all you gotta do is go to the material, scroll down, go to blend mode, and then go to alpha clip. And there we go. Easy enough. It's much easier in Unity, but there we go, ladies and gents. So do we like just the spheres? I'm actually gonna make these smaller. Move them out right there, move it out. Scale it. Yeah, just the flat spheres do not work. So I think what we're gonna do is go back into Photoshop, and we're just gonna copy this eye. So I'm gonna make a layer over this eye. I'm gonna choose a random color. I'm gonna choose red. Then I'm going to try and copy this eye to the best of my ability. All right, there we go. Now we got an eye. Let's make this thing nice and white. So I'm gonna add another layer, hold Alt and click between them to make it an adjustment layer. Go back to white, fill it in. Now we got a nice, let's actually make the size of this bigger. I'm gonna shift select both of these layers, Control T, and hold Alt and scale it up a bit. I'm also gonna move it down so it's in the middle. So file, export as PNG, and we're going to replace that eye. So if we go back in here and go to image and reload, we will have the new eye image. Still looks bad, so we're gonna go back into Photoshop. We're going to smooth this out. So let's actually use this tool, the pen tool. This is an easy way to make perfect shapes. So using the pen tool, we'll try to make a better looking eye. Just hold Alt, break that there, hold Alt, just like that. I think that's pretty good, better than it was before. Hide all that. Now we're gonna file, export as PNG, basic eye. We're gonna export that again, and then image, reload. I think they're backwards. We'll scale it on the x-axis, and then make sure we rotate it above. Get it as close as possible to the face without clipping, and there we go. Perfect. Now we need the pupils, so we're gonna get these objects, shift D to move them out slightly, and then we're gonna separate by selection, and now these are gonna be the pupils. So we're gonna add another one, assign this to it, make it black, assign, and we're gonna call it pupils. So like this, let's spawn pupils. There we go. That is in front, and now let's go make the pupil. All we're gonna do, I'm just gonna hide this layer and put a singular black dot in the middle of the screen. Perfect. And this will be the pupil. File, export as PNG pupil. Let's go back to Blender, base color, image texture. We have to drag it in, so go to the file where you saved it, drag it into the project. Make sure you're in object mode. I was not. Drag the pupil in, and then click on the pupils, go to image texture, and then select pupils, pupil.png. Now we got to do what we did before. Go back to shading, drag this out, and drag the alpha channel into the other alpha channel, and scroll down to, we're going to scroll down to settings, blend mode, and turn that to alpha clip. And there we go. Wonderful. This cool like gradient on there. Where did that come from? Regardless, I kind of like it. I'll make sure that that stays. If we end up losing that somehow, I'm gonna bring it back. But there we go. I'm gonna hide these ears. Somehow these ears keep popping up, but should not have ears popping up. So now let's do the mouth. I'm just gonna select this face right here, do Shift D, that's gonna duplicate it. And now we actually do want these to merge. I'm gonna allow clipping, let them clip. Then I'm gonna apply the mirror modifier after I separate it. So select this object, separate by selection, then go into object mode, and then apply the mirror modifier, and then click A, scale down. We're just gonna put this right here, scale it up a bit. Also just gonna make it flat texture. Perfect. I'm gonna get rid of the subdivision surface modifier, and this is where our mouth is gonna go. I'm gonna place it more accurately. So this is the mouth. Try to get it as close as possible. Closer that you get, the better. Right, there we go. That's pretty good. So let's go back into Photoshop and let's make the mouth. So I'm going to clean this up a bit. I'm going to delete all these that I am not using. Keep the pupil and the eye just in case we need them again. We can delete everything else. Now we're going to make a mouth. So I'm just gonna do a simple mouth. I'm gonna do just like a straight line. That looks good. So I'm just gonna scale this up. I don't want that generic shape. I'm gonna go back to the pen tool, try to copy it, and then get rid of the fill, add a stroke, make it black, stroke big, then just make sure the corners are rounded. Perfect. There we go. Now I'm gonna hide the bottom layer, file, export as PNG, mouth, neutral. And now we'll be able to replace these textures in the future whenever we want to make our player emote. So I'm gonna select this object, create a new material, I'm gonna call it mouth. Then I'm gonna go down to base color, image texture. We have to drag in the mouth now, so make sure we're in object mode. Go back into the file, select, drag in your mouth texture. Now, click on the image, scroll down till you get the mouth neutral. Make sure you assign it. Alright, it's gonna be black for now. That's fine. We're gonna go back into the shading window and then drag the alpha into the alpha channel. And then we're going to change the alpha clip once again, go down to the settings, change blend mode to alpha clip, and then let's go back to modeling. This seems to be sort of issue. Let's see if it's just because it's too close. Assign that. Is there a mirror modifier on here? No. So it seems maybe it's just not unwrapped correctly. So let's just do a front on view and let's project from view. Go to the mouth, not their mouth, but our mouth neutral. Scroll up and then there we go. I think that's a little bit too dark. So I'm actually going to change the fill a little bit, or maybe actually just the thickness of our shape. So we got to go back to the pen tool, change the thickness a bit, make it somewhat like that. And then let's create another pen tool. So even add one of these, make the mouth a little bit more realistic by adding some more lines. Have another shape. It might be doing too much. Do all that. Merge shapes. It's not merge shapes. Merge. Convert to smart object, add a new layer, add an adjustment layer, and I'm going to make this a little, I think, more skin tone, slightly skin tone. I think that might make it a little bit better. Wonder what this would look like. Export as PNG, mouth neutral, yes, back into photo, and then reload the texture. There we go. I think that does look better. I think I'm just going to leave that for now. It's not perfect. And don't worry if you see these glitches, it's going to be solved in Unity, but this is our character for now. This is Link. We'll improve him over time, but it's just nice to have a base model that we could work with while working in the game. So for now, this is what Link in our game looks like. We can't call him Link though because this is an original character. His name is called Think because he's very introspective. All right. We're to the part where we've all been waiting for. Alright, we're going to start rigging. But right before we start rigging, we have to start naming some of these things in this window. So what we're going to do is just click on whatever's in the window and then find the corresponding body part and then name it that. So this is the nose, this is the body, let's see, these are the legs, this is the hair, this is the head, these are the eyes, these are the pupils, this is the hood, this is the mouth. There we go. So now let's export this guy. Let's go. So file, I'm gonna save the project, and I think that we should start rigging this boy up. So we're just gonna export this guy, and rigging is pretty easy nowadays if your model is simple. Okay, so there's this website called Mixamo that can automatically rig your character. So let's get this guy in that website. So let's go file, export FBX. All right, I'm gonna create a new folder called within my desktop called Link Model. Just leave all these settings as they are. Make sure that you don't have any cameras and stuff in the scene. I'm actually gonna check visible objects, and you should too, because otherwise it's gonna export literally everything. So check visible objects. Go into Link Models. I'm gonna name it My Link, and every other settings fine. Just export. Now go to Google, and you want to go to this website called Mixamo.com. You need to create an account, log in, however, and this website has a ton of different free animations that we are going to be using. As you can see, I had Link in here the other day. I was just testing out some animations on him just to see if it would work, but as you can see, I got the actual Toon Link model to work just to see if this would work for ours. So if it worked for him, it's going to work for us. Look at that link button. So let's import our model. We are going to go to the right side where it says upload character, and we're going to select a character file. Then you're going to find that file that we just exported. It's on your desktop most likely. Click on desktop. go down to link model, select your model. There's a chance that this is not going to work, but we'll solve the issues if it doesn't. So this is our model. Looks kind of strange, but don't even worry about it because this is just what the model looks like without textures. I don't know why it like exports it like this, but this is more than okay. So now it's going to have all these points right here. So you just want to put these in the corresponding parts. So this is the chin, so put it on the chin. This is the wrist, put it on the wrist. Elbows, put it on the elbows. Knees, put it on the knees. Groin, put it on the groin. All right, now we are using 2 chain fingers because we don't have separate fingers. This is what that would look like. After you got all these points where you need them, you can just click next and we should start building a rig. It looks like the normals are flipped on our hat. We're gonna have to fix that, but we can save that for later. All right, now this is really weird. I knew the hood that was gonna give us problems. So I'm wondering how we're gonna fix this. There's a few ways that we could fix it. I could try and see if I could fix it and then re-export it, or I could fix it within Blender, which is what I think I'm gonna have to do. So we're just gonna fix this like weird glitching within Blender. So just click next. If your model doesn't have that, that's fine. Then you don't have to fix it, but I'll show you guys how to fix it. So we're gonna look up T-pose. You could play around with the go to the animation window at the top, and you could play around with the animations and put different animations on your guy, see what it looks like. Well, we're gonna look up the T-pose animation. So we want our character to be in T-pose whenever he's exported. So we're gonna download this. We're gonna download for FBX with skin, 30 frames a second. All these settings are fine. Now we're going to open up this file and we're going to drag it into that folder we made for the link model. So find it on your desktop, just go right there, that's where I am. And then I'm going to rename it to rigged link. So now we'll go back into Blender and we're going to hide this link. And then we're going to go File, Import, FBX. And we're going to go to Link Model and then go to the rigged link that we just made. Now all the textures should be assigned and he is now rigged. So we're going to fix that issue where the hood is not connecting how we want it to. So we're going to click on the rig, go to pose mode, and you can't really tell there's a rig because it's being like occluded by his actual body. So we're going to make it where we can see the rig by going down to this bone section. Sorry, this little guy down here. And we're going to go to viewport display and we're going to check in front, so now we can see the rig. So we're in pose mode right now in the top right from clicking the rig. So now we could turn this guy's head. As you can see, the bottom section of this hood is not following the head, and we will be able to fix that in a second. So now what we need to do is go into object mode and then select a body, select everything and go to weight paint mode. And if you shift click a bone, you'll be able to see all of the weights on that bone. So what weights are is how much a bone influences this part of the mesh. So if you shift click a bone, you'll be able to see how much this bone influences stuff. And if you see, you can notice that there's tons of these bones are influencing parts of the mesh that do not make any sense, like this one right here. Like, why is this influencing this part? So we're just going to fix that. So under the tools, you want to go down to options and then click auto normalize. This is going to make it where your weight painting makes sense pretty much. I don't really know what it does, but if you don't click it, then it's just going to mess up your weight painting. So click that on and then shift click whatever bone you want and then start painting away. Okay, control click it. Okay, so now you're able to paint. Let's see if now, so I just painted this whole hat to be influenced by this one bone. That should work pretty well. So I'm going to go back to edit mode, object mode, and then I'm going to select the hat and the rig, or just select the rig and go back to pose mode. See how this works. All right, we're getting there. So it is working almost how I want, but the head is not fully on this bone. So what we're going to do, go back into object mode and hide this hat and then paint this head. This is cursed. So let's go back to edit. Let's go back to object mode, select the head and then the rig. We're going to go, rig head, and go back to weight paint mode and then shift click this bone, and we're just going to paint the whole head because this should influence the entire head. No other bone should be influencing this. All right, so let's go back to object mode, enable the hat again, and let's go to pose mode, and let's see. Seems to be working quite nice. There's a little bit on the bottom of the hood that doesn't seem to be working correctly, but that's fine because I'm going to do this. I'm going to do hide the body and then select the hood, select the bones, and then select the hood. Go to weight paint mode. I'm actually gonna let this phone influence a little bit of the hood. And that's gonna make it where the hood's actually connected to the body a little bit, which is gonna be kind of cool. Put on both sides. Hopefully this works. If it doesn't work, we're just gonna have it normal, but pretty sure this is gonna be fine. Now let's see what happens. Let's go back, object mode, select the rig, go to pose mode. Let's activate the body again, and let's see what happens. There we go. That's pretty cool. That works way more than great. That's perfect. All right, now we have a rigged character. I think everything is working great. I mean, I'm okay with how that's moving. Okay with how that's moving. We have a perfectly rigged character, ladies and gentlemen. I'm gonna rename this to Link Armature. And now we get to drop this bad boy back into Unity. Let's go. So file, export, FBX. And you're gonna navigate. You could either save this to your desktop or you could go to your literal Unity folder, which is what I'm gonna do. So my folder is in my games, Zelda parody, assets, new folder, my models, and this is literally saving it to the Unity project, as you'll see in a bit. And then I'm gonna double click that, make sure it's only visible objects only, and then I'm going to export the FBX. And now we launch Unity, we launch our Unity project, our character is going to be in there. So now we're back on the Unity project, and we have a My Models folder that we just created, and we have our model inside of the My Models folder. So we can put this in the game now. So go to your player and drag your model underneath the player, and you'll notice that the model is huge. So we're going to go to the transform after you click on it and make the scale, let's say 0.1 on each axis. Seems like that's still too big, so we'll go, how about 0.5? Almost correct. I'm going to move him down by -1. That's almost there. 175. How about that? Perfect. 175. Your number might be different. So now he's in the game. We could take the capsule and we could turn, if you click on the top one, that's where the capsule is, and you could turn off the mesh renderer, and now we have Link in the game. Now let's see how this plays. Why do I have two scene views open? Oh, it's window. I go to window, general, game, and open up a game view. All right, so let's put this down here and let's see how this looks. All right, so my Link model is in the game, and there's a few problems. He has no textures, and we are not rotating with the camera. So let's fix the texture issue first. All we have to do is drag in the texture that we made from Photoshop into our Unity project. So locate that texture and drag it into the game, and la-di-da, it's all working. It seems like our scene is kind of dark, like you can't even see Link's face right here. So what I'm gonna do is go to this plus icon, go down to light, and add some point lights. I'm just gonna add a few of these. I'm gonna increase intensity and range. Turn on the gizmos up here so we can actually see it. So intensity and range. I'm gonna change the color a bit too, maybe like a nice cool blue. I'm gonna drop these around the scene. I'm gonna put one there, copy paste. Put one here, copy paste. Put one there, maybe change this one to red. Makes it a little bit more interesting. Copy paste. There we go. Let's change the reflectivity of the floor a bit. I'm gonna do that. Change the smoothness down a little bit. There we go. Let's see how this looks. There we go. Now we got Link in the game. I almost forgot that we have to import the eyes and the mouth textures. So locate those textures and also drag those in. So we got a mouth, an eye, and a pupil that we all have to drag in. So let's see how this looks. Looks like it did not register. What you have to do since these are using like a transparent texture, you have to actually tell Unity that it is a transparent texture. So select everyone using control click, every single texture that uses transparency, and then click alpha as transparency, check that box and click apply down here, and that should fix the issue. Let's see. All right, we're almost there. So now it's because we need to fix the textures. So what we're gonna do, click on your model and go to materials and click extract materials and just select this folder. We're actually just gonna control click all of the materials that need transparency, and then we're gonna go alpha clipping, true, and see, do we want shadows? Change it to specular, transparent. That's it. For some reason the eyes aren't popping up. We know why. I think it's because they're backwards. So what we want to do is check both on the eye texture, so it's displaying both sides. Same with the pupil. That should work. Let's see what. And the eyes seem to be black for some reason. I don't know why. I think it was because it was receiving shadows. It must be his hair. So just turn off receiving shadows, and it looks like we got a very shocked looking Link. So the thing I like to do with all that my textures is I'm gonna shift select all these materials. You can tell they're a material if they have this little icon right here. We got pupils. I like to turn the smoothness down because the default smoothness whenever you bring it into Unity is really high. And also change it to specular lighting right here. All right. For some reason the default is metallic, which is not what we want. So there we go. We got Link in the game. We got our character, our version of him. So now that we got our version of Link in the game, we should fix the issue where he's not rotating with the camera. That's probably, well, he shouldn't be rotating with the camera. He should be rotating in the direction that we're moving. So we're gonna fix that. What we're gonna do is go into our player movement script, click Control A and copy it. Then we're gonna go to ChatGPT and ask ChatGPT, can you make my player rotate to face the direction that I'm moving in? And then I'm going to paste the script. Let's see what ChatGPT does. Let's copy this code, go back into Unity, Control A, Control V, Control S to save the script for me. All right, let it recompile. All right, now let's see. There we go. Now we got the player rotating in the direction that we're moving. Let's go. And we're gonna have to disable that whenever we start targeting enemies, and it's gonna have to switch to a strafe sort of movement. As you can see, we got the player rotating towards where we're moving. His eyes are doing some weird stuff. Let's fix that quickly. Let's get out of here. My models, let's go to eyes. So for some reason, can't seem. Let's just make it emit slightly. There we go. I'm just gonna make the eyes emit slightly. It kind of replicates how they do in Wind Waker anyway. His eyes are always kind of bright. So just turn on the emission on the eyes and that should solve that weird issue. So let's make it where whenever we target the enemy, we are facing the enemy. Okay, so what we want to do is go into the player movement script, copy all the code, go back to ChatGPT. So I asked it, can you make a toggle that makes the player face an enemy instead of the move direction and call it lock on? Then we're going to toggle this from the lock on script. So copy the code, go back to Unity, Control A, Control V, Control S to save, let it recompile, and then lock on toggle should be, for now, we're just going to drag in the target enemy, which is this guy right here, and nothing's going to happen yet. What we want to do is, ChatGPT likes to make everything private for some reason, meaning that you can't see it in the inspector. So we're going to actually make this public so we could toggle it within the inspector. So this lock on variable, make that public. So let's go back into Unity, start the game, and then I'm going to toggle this lock on and see how my player moves. All right, this is exactly what I wanted. Check that out. That's what I'm talking about. Seems that he rotates whenever I jump. You can fix that later, but that's perfect. Now all we need to do is make it trigger whenever the camera switches. So let's call it in this script. So for now, I'm gonna find the area where I'm locking on, and I'm gonna get access to the player movement and set the lock on variable to true. So I'm going to set this to true. So I'm going to get a component, and I know that the player movement's on the script, so I'm going to get player movement. Then I'm going to add parentheses, go to dot to access some variables within it. I'm going to go to the lock on variable, and then we're going to set that to true. Otherwise, I'm going to set it to false, and that should be enough to lock on to the enemy. This is all temporary code. We will refactor in the future and make it nice and neat, but this is just to test the functionality. So walk around like normal, then let's lock on, and now we are locked onto the enemy. Check that out. Let go, and now we're back to normal. That's it for this video. We're gonna work on the animations in combat in the next video. We'll make the camera more snappy. We'll add some attacks, a sword, some jump slashes, all that fancy stuff, and we'll actually be able to fight enemies in the next video. But I think that was a lot of good work for this video. I'm really proud of how this turned out. I think it's a pretty good representation of how they made Link over at Nintendo, and I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Please subscribe if you want to see some more of how to make your own Zelda game, and I will catch you guys in the next one. So peace out. Peace.